Hello, hello, hello. It is Marlena Cole, your dating and relationship coach. And I'm starting a few minutes early today, just so people can get the notice and start chiming in. Um, and while they do that, I want to invite you to join my Love Me Right family. If you have not already joined my Love Me Right family, you can subscribe to my email list where we get all the goodies and special trainings and special information and more contact with me, more private contact with me at www.lovemeright.net. So if you have not yet joined the Love Me Right family, I'm actually coming up with some more special things to do for my family, for us to stay connected more. So, for those who don't know me, if this is your first time, I am Marlena Cole. I am a dating and relationship coach for single African American women who are designed and desire to be a wife. I support them in building relationships that are stable, supportive, and loving. I'm always looking to connect with single African American women who are ready to live their life with their best friend and lover. Who do you know that's ready to attract, connect, and start building healthy relationships? I have created a program called Love Me Right, and it is life changing. Not my words, but the words of the women that I've been coaching. And what the premise of what we do is really help African American women who want to be in a committed relationship. I help them get there faster, quicker, and better by different techniques. I have a framework that I call Love Me Right, and we go through 4 modules that are very in depth and also face to face time via Zoom, where we are working through barriers, working through limited beliefs, creating what we call our Eden presence, which is what I'll be teaching bits and pieces of all month long in August on the Love and Lunch. We also work through making room for our husbands because a lot of times our lives, for whatever reason, we don't have room for him. And so when we meet people who could be potential mates, it's not always happening at that time because men need to see where they can be needed, right? Everybody needs to be needed. And so I'm helping them make room in their lives through the program. And also just healing, and part of making room, it's part of healing of past issues, current issues, heartaches. Someone asked me the other day, how do you get over a broken heart? That is something we go into depth about, because healing is essential to being in a healthy marriage or healthy relationship, and of any kind, professionally or personally. And so we work through the healing process, which I call the courage to grieve. And we really get into depth of how to move past that, how to heal it, and then move past it instead of burying it. And then we are building what part of it is living full out, where we are building our dating pipeline and we are meeting men, and more men, and we're meeting them effortlessly. And hopefully you can see me okay. We are meeting them effortlessly. And I always say, if one of my women who are working the program walk into the room and no guy try to talk to them, that's because there's no guy of good quality, higher standards, who's available to be spoken with. And so women in my program are seeing results in 2 to 3 weeks. And results being they see a shift in their personal and professional lives, where they are people at work are noticing something different about them. Their personal lives, they are starting to have more men talk to them just out of the blue, more dates. I had a new lady that I've been working with for a month. She had not been on a date in about 2 years since her divorce, and she's been home watching Netflix. Of course, she lives for the most part, a full, healthy life. She's like, Marlene, I just go home and outside of work and my kids and other things I do, I just watch Netflix. I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll get through that. We've been working together, like I said, about a month, and 3 weeks in, she has already been on her second date with a guy. So we're building our pipeline, right? We are really learning the tools and techniques that it takes to be a wife and that it takes to have a healthy relationship. A little of my story is that I was a single mother, and I was single for probably about 18 years. And for about 10 of those years, I really wanted to be married. I started wanting to be married at 27. I thought it would happen probably by 28, right? I wanted it at 27, thought it would happen by 28. And I didn't end up getting married till I was almost 30, till I was 36. I'm terrible with time frames. I think I was 36. My husband gets on me about not knowing how long we've been married, but and during those times, it was rough for me. I found myself in a cycle of failed relationships. Meeting men was not the problem for me, but it was building a healthy relationship, knowing how to communicate with them. Not, I was found myself in unhealthy, what I called unhealthy compromises, trying to make the relationship work, trying to be patient, knowing, he had other women on the side, but I chose to ignore it. And all of that ended up in heartache. I felt a lot of shame, a lot of heartache, a lot of nights that I was crying. And then I decided to take action. I was like, this is not the life for me. I was not about that single life. And I decided to do something about it. I decided to learn how to better connect, communicate, and build healthy relationships with men. And it started with me building that with myself. And I wrote a book, Renewing of Your Mind and Spirit, about my journey of being single. And I was writing this journal. I was journaling as I was going through this process, not knowing that it was going to turn into a book. And it did. And it's titled Renewing of Your Mind and Spirit, about my journey of being single and learning how to be a wife, and not all of my mistakes, but a lot of the missteps, not mistakes, missteps that happened during that time. And how I believe that God brought me through and taught me how to be a wife, and taught me how to better attract and connect and build healthy relationships. And so a lot of the things and tools I've learned then, that I've been retooling and building out and just learning throughout the years, about shame and communication and emotional intelligence and the approach to dating. It's all things that I teach in the Love Me Right program to help other single African American women get married, get in healthy relationships, heal their hearts, heal from their past, move forward, build new belief systems. We have a principle that we teach called thoughts lead to feelings and emotions, and feelings and emotions lead to actions. And it's the actions of our lives that leads to the outcome of our life. And so we're always digging into our thought process and what we believe, and if it's serving us or if it's hindering us or limiting us. And we get to choose a new belief system. And I'm not talking about a belief system in your religion and things like that and what you believe spiritually, but things that are not universal truths, right? Things that we were taught as young children, things we were taught as women, things we were taught as Black women, that are not, that has been true for our lives, but are not necessarily serving us well. And so that's who I am, a little bit about who I am, why I do what I do. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is helping single African American women. And not just because I am a Black single African American woman, but I understand the struggles of being a Black woman, a single mother as a Black woman, a professional woman. I am a corporate bred woman, and I understand the challenges we have. There's reports that you've probably seen that Black women are least likely to get married among all other racial groups across every age group. And when I read things like that, when I see videos like that, I'm like, there's no reason for us not to be married, right? All the stereotypes and stigmatisms are not true, not universal true. And yes, we can get married. Yes, to whomever we want to. And the statistic shows that 80% of African American women want to marry Black men, and that's absolutely fine. And I understand we have challenges in our community where a lot of injustices and a lot of African American men are in jail, but there are still enough great African American men, if that's who you choose to marry, or any other race, right? As long as they're legal, right? Legal of age, legal age, that you can marry. And so my mission with Love Me Right is to get as many African American women married as possible. And so I am just really inviting you to join my family at www.lovemeright.net. It is 11:01, so we are going to get started with the show. The Love at Lunch. I am your host and coach, dating and relationship coach, Marlena Cole. And I am the creator of the Love Me Right coaching program, where we support single African American women who are designed and desire to be a wife. We help them in building a supportive, loving, and stable relationship. I am always looking to connect with Black African American women who are ready, simply ready to live their life with their best friend and lover. Who do you know? Is it you that's ready to attract, connect, and start building healthy relationships? Please share this when you come on live. Hey, Deneen. Please share this when you come on live. Make comments. I'm going to read the comments afterwards because I get a little distracted and off topic a little bit. So you please make your comments, ask your questions, and then after the show, I'll look through those and respond. So please share as well. And if I don't see you come on, I'm sorry. I will try to say hello once you come on. So today's topic is, well, it's why are you single? That is like the famous question that everybody asks, right? Why are you single? And I really want to deal with this in a way that the way that I teach it in my Love Me Right program. I teach it in a way that it's more so about the story you tell yourself. So what story are you telling yourself about why you're single? Because the story you tell yourself really says a lot about yourself. It says a lot about your situation. It says a lot about why you are single. And I believe that, and this is a truth for me, that how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So how you show up is in one place is really how you show up in every place. And so of course it's show up is not just showing up, right? It's who you are, how you act, what you believe, what you think, how you treat people. I think how we show up in one place is really how we show up in the other place. Of course, if we're at work, we may, talk a little bit more from the Webster dictionary versus the Urban Dictionary, right? Versus we're at home, we're probably speaking from the Urban Dictionary, right? But in that still says a lot about who we are and where we're going and what our blocks are, right? So my job, my mission is to help get you to the next level in your relationship, whatever that next level and that next step is. And the story you tell yourself says a whole lot. So my question is to you, and hopefully you got some pen and paper. Anytime you come to the Love Me Right show, please bring some pen and paper, because I'm all about substance, right? I want to make sure you have some takeaways. I don't want this to just be entertaining, although I can get entertaining. But I really want you to take notes and take some action, right? So write down, tell me, why are you single? Put it in the chat if you're comfortable. Direct message me. I have my phone right here. Direct message me and tell me if you're not comfortable saying it on Facebook. Why are you single? Tell me, why are you single? All right, I'll pause for 2 seconds. And I'm going to check my inbox just in case somebody pings me why they're single. Because the thing that your story on why you're single, and this every time people, because you're beautiful, right? You're achieved, right? You're kind. You have probably this outgoing personality, and so people always wonder, right? You're probably over 30, and so people are like, "Why are you single?" Right? That is like the famous question. Why are you single? It's like, oh, when I was single, people got on my nerves. Like, why do you keep asking me why I'm single? Like, it's to say something must be wrong with me. Of course, that's the way I took it. But that even when you meet people and you meet them, and for the first time, first date, whatever, they're like, so why are you single? And it's like, why are you single? Shouldn't you be happy I'm single? Other than that, you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me. Or is it just me, right? Everybody asks, why are you single? But the thing of it is, you can tell a lot about a person and where they are when they tell you the story of why they're single. Denise says having trouble meeting good guys. Yeah, that's a lot of story. I haven't met the one, but so write down your story, why I'm single. A lot of times what I get in my program when we do this, I get the whole backdrop, this 2-page long. I'm not judging it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love when we do this exercise, the story you tell yourself, and ask them the question, why are you single? And I get these long, long paragraphs about what happened in their last 2-3 relationships, how they're taking time for themselves, how they've been working on them, they're, traveling, they're working, whatever the story is. I love it, love it, love it. And then as we walk through it, I start challenging you, right? That's what I do. I challenge you to say, how true is this? And how is this serving you, right? Our question, last week's question was, how is it serving you? And this week is, how is it serving you, or how is it limiting you, right? The story you tell yourself, how true is it? And so let me see if somebody's, no, okay, I'm gonna put that, okay. So look in your story, whatever your story is, maybe it's in your mind, maybe you can jot it down. Is there any blame in your story? Are you blaming anyone else for why you're single? And I'm not going to call anybody out. Is there any blame? Is there any shame in your story? Any shame? So it's so funny. There's a difference between being embarrassed and shame. Shame goes much deeper to the heart. Embarrassment, you'll tell an embarrassing story, right? Oh my God, I tripped, right? I tripped when I was walking in the mall and everybody kind of stopped and looked, right? You can tell an embarrassing story because an embarrassing story, a lot of times other people have experienced it as well. So you don't mind sharing an embarrassing story, but a story that's shameful to you, you don't typically share, right? I share a lot of stories. Some of my shame stories I share. Hey, Angela. I share some, well, because it's me. I don't really get embarrassed. And I've learned to deal with shame, because shame goes much deeper to the core. Shame keeps you in bondage, right? Shame keeps you blocked from who you should be, right? And Denise says, "No, I'm not right." Maybe you're not, right? So shame, let me get back to shame because I get sidetracked with the comments, but keep commenting and I'll reply afterwards. So shame actually keeps you in bondage, right? It's a lot of times why people commit suicide, because they have things they're ashamed of. And so shame is much serious than embarrassment. And shame needs 3 things to live, to grow, and to really eat away at your life. It needs secrecy, judgment, and there's 3. I forgot the third one: secrecy, judgment, and something else. I forgot it. Sorry. But anyway, shame. Is there any shame in your story? Right. I can say the 7-year relationship that I was in and off, and on and off for 7 years, that is kind of a shame story, because when people hear more of the details of how I would be waiting on him for 2-3 hours to show up for a date, and he would never come, or he would come 12 o'clock that night, and this lame excuse that he fell asleep. People are like, for real, you waited 2 hours for him? Really, you kept dating him, right? He left you on the side of the road, when your car died and you're out in the highway, right? Those are shame stories that could be shame, but I had to eventually start sharing those stories, because when I kept it to myself, it kept me in bondage. It kept me in this low level, this level of victim and shame. And what was happening, because I was too ashamed to tell these stories, too ashamed to get out of that situation, it kept me there. Not so much just with him, but then I started attracting people who also were living in shame and had a bunch of secrets in their closet that was keeping them bound from living the full life that they should be living. And so then the shame that was in my story of why I was single kept me meeting other people who life was also full of shame. And so that kept me in a cycle of failed relationships because we were all both being unauthentic. We both had so much hurt and shame that we couldn't even connect with each other, right? Here we are trying to connect and we couldn't, right? It's like we couldn't connect really in a healthy way, I should say, because we were connected, but not in a healthy way because of all the shame and blame in our story of why we were single. And when I began to release that and let that go and deal with it and tell my story, it released me when I began to look at, and forgiving myself, saying, I had low self-esteem. I believed that I couldn't get anybody better than him. And that's why I stayed. And when I began to forgive myself for that, when I began to say it out loud, right, it now doesn't have any bearing on me. My husband's probably going to watch this replay and I don't feel any shame or embarrassment or like I need to hold anything back, because if I continue to live in that blame and shame, I would have probably ended up marrying somebody. End up marrying someone who also live a life of blame and shame. Okay. Does that make sense? Let me know if I'm making sense here. And then, is there any pain in your story? And this is not judging you. I say this every time, but I'm not judging you, make you right or wrong, good or bad, right? When we uncover, it's like if you cover up an open wound and just put a Band-Aid over it and don't allow it to get any air, it gets a lot of moisture and it never heals. Right? It just never heals. That scab just never can come because we've covered it up instead of maybe putting some ointment on it, right? To help it heal faster or allow it to get some air so the scab can start coming. So what I'm doing is just really supporting you and walking alongside of you in love, because I've been there. I wrote the book and got the t-shirt and the mug, literally wrote the book on shame and blame. Right. And so I'm not judging you. Right. Is there any pain? Right. Somebody asked me the other day on live, how do you get over the heartache? How do you get past the pain, Marlena? And there is a process, right? There's a process to help you get past the pain, because any wound needs healing and there are emotional wounds. What pain is in your story? Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be like, I'm not blaming anybody else. Are you blaming yourself? Right? Because a lot of times we forgive the other person who hurt us, who caused the damage, and then we don't forgive ourselves. We blame ourselves. We allow that pain to sit. Now, I'm talking about intimate relationships. This can be with siblings, parents, friends, right? This isn't just intimate relationships. It's because, my motto, life equals relationships and relationships equals life, right? So when I'm talking about relationships, I'm talking about your life, right? And how do we improve our lives? How do we get to the next level? How do we get to what I'm calling and teaching this whole month, our Eden presence, who God created us to be so that we can do what we were created to do? We don't really get there, right? Until we start dealing with our life and relationships struggles, right? There are no problems. They're just opportunities, right? So what pain is in your story and how do we work past that pain? Are you a victim? Are you a victim? Now, I know some people are victimized, but are you a victim? Is there I'm a victim in the story, right? My ex cheated on me. That could be true, but are you living with a victim mentality? Because hurt can turn into rage, which can turn into bitterness, which can ruin your life. And when we live at a level in our stories where we are the victim, somebody may have I've had things done to me, but I am nobody's victim. I'm just not. I am just nobody's victim. I'm not my victim. I'm not his victim. No, I'm nobody's victim. I am more than a conqueror. Even if I was hurt, even if I was abandoned, even if my story for many years had shame and blame and pain, embarrassment in it, I am more than a conqueror, because not just because I say I'm not a victim. No, I had to come out of that mindset. I had to heal my heart so that I wouldn't continue to be a victim, because there was a point in my story of why I was single. I was the victim, right? He lied to me. He breadcrumbed me, as Angela said the other day, right? He cheated on me. He led me on. You know what I'm saying? I was the victim, and that's why I was single. It was the story I was telling myself. And that kept drawing people to me with saying victimized stories. And so now we have two victims with broken hearts, living in shame, living in blame, living in pain, trying to make something work. Yeah, no, that left me in a cycle of failed relationships for over 10 years. And I didn't get out of that until I started peeling back the layers of my story, of the story that I was telling myself. And I asked a very simple question: why are you single? But in that story is so much information on one of the blocks that may be keeping you, or many blocks that may be keeping you from the life that you want to live. Is this making any sense? Right? So are you blaming yourself? Are you a victim? Right? Are you a victim? So I don't know. It's not showing me how long this has been going, but please make comments. Direct message me if you have a question you want me to answer. And if you have not already joined my family, the Love Me Right family, I'd love to have you. I really would. Please subscribe at lovemeright.net. Share this video with your friends. Connect with me, direct message. Love to talk to you. I have a great training when you subscribe, a free coaching training for you on why you may be single and what's happening in your relationships. Because most relationships don't get past 1 year. They fail before 1 year, and I've broken down what's going on in that relationship. Limited thinking, things we were taught, right, that are no longer serving us, that will be a blessing. And then you're a big part of my family. All right, this has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully this is taking away at least one thing in the story you tell yourself. We're going to continue all week long with this same theme of the story we tell ourselves, and working through the shame, the blame, the pain. If you know anyone that this will bless, please share it. And I'll see you tomorrow for Love at Lunch. All right. Thank you. Talk to you later.